Good evening, good evening. This is K Jose, one half of State of the Wizards, and the Washington Wizards are now selecting six in the upcoming NBA draft. We're going to talk about it now. I got my main man DeeJay from Chocolate City Hoops up here, so definitely stay tuned for this episode. DeeJay, first, before we even get started, man, tell everybody how they can find you, bro.
Man, look, I'm the host of the Chocolate City Hoops podcast, and what I'm saying, we talk about the Wizards, and we gonna talk about some shit today. So you can find me at the Real DJ on Twitter. You can go to Chocolate City Hoops podcast on YouTube. But man, I feel like I need to go shoot a podcast right right now. I need to call my cameraman. But anyways, yeah. That's where you can find me.
All right. So you know what, man, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna let you have the floor on this one. So we're picking six. Tell me how the way you was feeling when you sitting there watching the lottery, and then when you saw that we were picking six. What was your reaction? And then just tell me how the way you was feeling once the lottery was over. Once you found out who the number one team was drafting. So just go ahead. I'm gonna let you do your thing.
I understand that a lot of us are in our feelings. I very much so am as well. And I'll be honest, I never gave in to the whole sports is rigged conversation, right? I was very anti, like the game is the way the game is sort of vibe, but I can't help it, man. It's just this is too coincidental, right? You have Luka Doncic, right? Traded to the Mavs. We don't know how. First of all, we don't even know how the Lakers get away with this robbery, right? I'm talking about shiesty highway robbery. Like I don't know how the Lakers do it because what picks are they giving away? How are they doing stuff? So they make that trade and Nico Collins is getting just roasted, right? We're talking about fan bases just ready to revolt, and fans are threatening like, nah, I'm not buying season tickets. That's money. Right? Money not going into a billionaire's pocket, which means the NBA is not getting money. And then all of a sudden, though, you just all of a sudden it's like they have one of the lowest chances to get the number one overall pick, and then they get it. And the way that the system is ran really, really hurts teams that really are legit bad. Right? Like everybody and their mama knew that this was a rebuilding year. Right? This wasn't we're trying to tank. Like, no, like we're a rebuilding team, a young team, and the chances of us getting into the top three was pretty good, but I have to be honest, man. Like it just seems blatantly obvious this time. And even I have to admit that, everyone's chanting rigged, and I'd be lying if I didn't feel some kind of way about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it, man. I will have to say this, for the past 5 months, I kept saying like the percentages are what they are. We got to wait and see what's going to happen. People was feeling like we were old. This pick, we were due for a pick. We were old, whatever the case may be. Utah hasn't had the number one pick since they've been in existence. And they're picking ahead of us. They're actually picking fifth. Dallas having a 1.8% chance to get the number one pick, and they got it. San Antonio, they had a 6% chance to be in the top, I guess, with top three. They're in there. Philadelphia, 10.5% chance they're in the top three. So these are teams that, when you talk about Dallas and Philadelphia, that shit just went bad for those teams. And it looks like a reward, especially when you talk about Dallas after them trading Luka. The way they traded Luka. You could tell that. So this one, I will say, from that perspective, because I wasn't really tripping too much, but the people who follow me on Twitter, I always send out the 2 Chainz getting shot up from BMF. Anytime something weird happens, or I disagree with something, I send the 2 Chainz out. So I had to when Dallas got that number one pick, because it's like that just didn't. I'm like, come on, man, come on, you made it pretty obvious, but. This will also teach us as fans to learn from last year's draft. Atlanta wasn't supposed to get the number one, and they did. Houston wasn't supposed to be in the top 3 last year, and they were. So you had teams in the top 3 were really in the top 4 that technically wasn't supposed to be in there, and they were.
I guess, and again, right? I think this just what it really feels like for most Wizards fans is just a so Wizards moment because we've already experienced where we continuously were dropping from we'd have the fifth best odds, the fourth best odds, the sixth best odds, and we dropped to 9, we dropped to 10, we dropped, right? We dropped almost as far in the lottery, and last year felt pretty good, but it almost felt like a consolation prize knowing that it wasn't supposed to even be a deep draft, right? So we ended up essentially last year, one could say we really got the true number one overall pick, right?
Right.
And SAR. But again, just that deemed franchise changer. And I think also too, you would also ask most Wizards fans that it's not even just not getting the number one pick, it's not even getting into the top 3, bro. Like I think like that's the shit that really got folks heated right now is that like
Yeah.
there are 3 people at the top who most would consider, you know, pretty decent. I don't know. Let me not even do that. Like good players, like damn near franchise players. Whether it was Cooper Flag, like if we didn't get the number overall pick, it would have been a fun debate to figure out who the Wizards get at 2 or 3 because it would have been either Harper or or I don't even know Ace, right? It'd have been Harper or Ace. That's where people would have been at. Now when we're doing content or we gotta talk, like I'm not trying to disrespect anybody, any of these young kids that are under 3, but now
Mhm.
it's gonna be a somber conversation where, oh man, who are we gonna pick? Basically, we're getting left out of a conversation that we feel like we deserve to be in. That's the
Right.
biggest problem, and that's where it's just like as a Wizards fan base, even when you have a front office now that's doing the right things, they're not just tanking to tank. Like they actually are gathering young pieces and they're trying to make it work. And that's you just take all the years of the Wizards fan base just being down and out, like especially post John Wall time frame, John and Brad, like it just hits hard, bro. Like I'm probably speaking for a lot of Wizards fans right now, where it's just like again, it's not even the fact that it's not the number one overall pick. We're not even in the conversation to talk about 1, 2, or 3.
Right.
We're the hell. It's not even 5. Like if you were to talk like what was it, myself and Damo on the last podcast that we did. Hell, we were even
Mhm.
talking about like 1, 2, 3, 4. Like who's that fifth? If we just happen to drop, like we have the number one odds and we dropped to 5. Like, and now we can't even talk about that. Now at 6, I don't even know. I'm sure we'll talk about that in the show, but I don't even know where to begin at 6. Like, so yeah.
You know what? So let's look at the it's really no need to talk about who Dallas is taking, at number one, because we know that's Cooper Flag.
Yeah.
So
Let's see.
San Antonio is picking 2. Is it going to
Can
be
we can we
Dylan
can we
Harper?
can we stop? Can we stop right there too?
Go
Let me
ahead.
get back into focus. That shit right there, that's what really made me mad. Is like
San
outside of
Antonio
that,
did.
like yeah,
Yeah.
forget for like the whole it being blatantly obvious with with Dallas, like that's one thing. San Antonio jumping to that position and they already have a
Hmm.
franchise player and now they're this is basically like the league just it's almost like if the Dallas situation seemed more like a money thing, right? Like you literally have
Yeah.
your fans not wanting to pay for season. Who knows what it was, right? I'm not trying to be a
Right.
conspiracy theorist. We don't know, but from all what you see on the news and stuff about the revolting, like people just don't want to, you know, they don't want to pay for tickets. So who knows what was going on over there? But it just always seems like the same teams need to be in the conversation every single year, right? The Spurs are one of those
Yeah.
teams, right? Like the Spurs already got
Hmm.
Wemby when we know that we were one ping pong ball away from Wemby. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear in the background that we're going to be one ping pong ball, that we were like one ping pong ball away from Cooper Flag. Because how many times do Wizards fans have to hear that shit, man? We were one ping pong ball away
Yeah.
from Tom. We were one ping pong ball away from Wemby. You right? And nobody was talking about last year's draft like that. So now all of a sudden you get San Antonio back in that conversation where they could choose either Ace or Dylan to partner up with.
You left the scene, man. Man,
Yeah,
you gonna
man.
you know when you sit there and say that, man, that now you're gonna make me jump out the window because um I, I'm not really tripping about Dylan Harper, but with Ace being there in San Antonio, his measurements came out. They said he has a 7'5" wingspan. I think he's listed at 6'7". Offensively, he can, he's a great half court player. When you talk about that, and then let's just play with that for a minute. So let's
Yeah.
say San Antonio said, "Well, we're not going to take Dylan Harper because we're satisfied with Stephon Castle." So they said, "Well, we'll go ahead and take Ace Bailey." So Ace Bailey is drafted. The next team that's after San Antonio is Philly. Dylan Harper go right there. So, and I mean, that's not too far from where he's from. That'll mix right in. Again, I'm not tripping off of Dylan Harper because I think we got enough guards. But then you're looking at, well, who would Charlotte take, with the number 4 pick? And then who would Utah take with the 5th pick? And then what will be left over for us? Now, I'm by looking at how the way Dawkins is, I would hope that he wouldn't settle for 6 because I do see a lot of different accounts where they say, well, Ace Bailey will possibly fall down to 6. Some will say he'll fall down to 5.
I if
I mean, the way it's looking right now, I don't know if I see that. I mean, but the
so
thing is, this it's just again, this is the reason why I didn't get so excited and it was like, oh yeah, we got to get the number 1. We're due. I get why everybody was saying that. I get it. But then
yeah.
what you just said, this is a so wizard situation, and people are pissed. As I told my man DK, and I said I was there when it was Blake Griffin. When I thought we was going to get Blake Griffin that year, we didn't get him. So we ended up, but we got John Wall the very next year.
Yeah.
Then when it came down to us possibly getting Zion, back to what you said, that one ping pong ball away, I'm like, damn. So then when we decide that we finally going to embrace a rebuild, which was just
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago, we were one ping pong ball away from Wimbayama. So this year, I didn't jump off that porch because I was like, with Cooper Flag, the amount of money he's going to bring, with the expectations on him, I said they probably don't want to put him on a team that's not complete. So you put him in Dallas, where you got Kyrie, you got Anthony Davis. We'll see what happens when it comes down to Gafford. He wants to get paid like a top tier center, but Dallas is all they're stacked. They got a pretty good solid
And
team.
that's the point that I think that like people are, and it's kind of making me go deeper in my bag, right? Because
Go ahead, go
not
deep.
not not only are you talking about like from the draft perspective of like where you land, but then you couple that with a history of, and again, the history. Right now, let me be clear, the front office is absolutely amazing, and I love
Yes,
everything that we're doing in Dawkins We Trust, right? But the previous regime just bad move, curse move, don't know if we should
exactly,
rebuild, don't know if we should try to make the playoffs. Like what
exactly.
draft was it? Was it the whatever the draft was, I think where we drafted Jan Vesley when we could have had Clay. There was that,
Yeah, it's
right?
20,
There's
2019, 2011. Yeah,
yeah, so there's that, but then there's the draft, like was it maybe a year or two before, where we could have chose Steph Wardell,
2009.
like, and then we was it Randy Foy and who? Like, come on,
Mike
man.
Miller. Yeah,
Yeah, so like
I mean,
you talking about
I,
not only a bad history of choosing, like a bad history of drafting folks, period, right? Or draft picks that don't pan out. Um, we do get John Wall, and like that's I think that's it's like you think about John Wall and the Bradley Beal in a microcosm, and it's almost sad that for most Wizards fans that understand even like let's say dating back to even like to relevancy again of the Gill era, right? Gill was the superstar we wanted, but just didn't pan out due to dumb decisions. If anyone hasn't seen that Netflix documentary, it spells it out really well, right?
yeah,
You got
yeah.
that era. It just goes up in flames. The John
Mm-hmm.
Wall era, you might as well say the same thing. John Wall is a beloved figure here in DC. The situation that happened, most would say that it flamed out and went poorly really, really fast. So it's just a culture like of hope, disappointment. And then even when you are like committed as a fan to know that the season's going to be bad, but you still see like you're happy that you're seeing these young players do something, you're like, man, like you add a Cooper Flag or a Dylan Harper or an Ace Bailey to this team, like man, like I'm so excited. They're probably not going to still be that good, but I'm excited. And it's like it's just hard to feel excitement in this moment as a fan. It really is.
When you talk about the history, that is true. You talk about that 2011 draft. That was a draft where Ernie Grunfeld, if there was one way you could mess up in the draft, that was the one he did. Because you had Kawhi Leonard, who we could have picked at 6. You had Klay Thompson, who, may he rest in peace, Flip Saunders wanted. Jimmy Butler was in that draft. It's just, that's when your general manager has to know how to scout. Then you go into the 2013 draft. We picked Otto Porter with the number 3 pick. Think about it. The NBA blessed us 2 seasons in a row with the number 3 pick. 2012, we got Hill, and in the very next year, we got Otto. But guess who the hell was in that draft later? Had he been such a great scout and knew what the hell he was doing, guess who we could have gotten that year and let him develop in Washington? Giannis, who's now getting ready to ask out of Milwaukee. So it's the bad decisions that the previous regime, whether it's Tommy or whether it's Ernie, as it seems like we're getting punished. And then sometimes, even with this situation that happened today, a part of me thinks that, and I'm going to be honest, I don't give a damn who gets mad about it. Part of me thinks that the Bradley Beal contract came back to bite us too, because you're seeing what's going on out there in Phoenix. They really want to get rid of him, but Bill is like, well, I hold all the cards. And people are probably, in Phoenix, they're pissed because they really want to get rid of this guy, but he got that no trade clause. So I know the league had to say, well, why the hell did the Washington Wizards give this guy a contract? Because really, Phoenix shouldn't be in the situation that they're in. Even though you got to blame, with the president of Phoenix, who's also Bradley Beal's agent's son and all that shit.
Yeah.
You got to blame that. But at the same time, you still got that bad contract. So it's not Will Dawkins and Michael Ringer's fault, but that bad decision stench still lingers around and it comes back to haunt this franchise. And I don't know if Adam Silver and everybody else in the NBA is completely convinced that we're really trying to change our behavior. But we clearly are trying to change the culture. It's just that it's not our season yet. So now we got to look at next year's draft. And I know people don't really want to look at that, but we're going to have to look at who can we get next year. Are we going to jump off the porch and say it's going to be Darian Peterson or AJ Diabunster? I don't know. But unfortunately, we're going to probably add another piece on the team.
And the worst part about this is, right, I think that's where it hurts and hits fans the most is like another, like we don't like, none of us, the truth is, right, putting the emotions to the side, none of us know what this next season is going to bring, right?
Yeah.
A lot of our players could easily, grow and continue to get better. All of our draft picks from last year's draft could really do something. And this is where I do trust Dawkins in that. I get it. We're all mad that it did get to 6, and I still hold the same sentiment that, like, I don't feel like we deserve to be at 6, but I do trust that whoever they get at 6, whether that person contributes right away or not, that, they're going to be pretty good. And I would like to talk about, not now, but later on in this pod, who we can actually start thinking about at 6. But I think, one of the things that also doesn't get talked about as far as basketball here, specifically in DC, right, Washington Wizards, is that, we have to rely on building a brand new culture of winning to actually warrant free agents to want to. And that's another thing too, that it's like free agents can get excited when a Zion comes to the team, when a Wemby comes to the team, when a Cooper Flag comes to the team, right? Hell, it takes special players. And I'm not saying none of the guys on our team are special by any stretch of imagination. That's not what I'm saying. But it takes some of those deemed franchise players, right, can be used to attract free agents. And one of the things that, as a Wizards fan, that we haven't had for as long as I can remember, outside of maybe the Gill era, and I could be even wrong about that because I'm pretty sure we traded for Karan and traded for Jameson, right? But I can't remember the last time we've ever landed a big time free agent, like a big
Right.
time free agent. But that takes players wanting to play with other players, like your franchise having a winning culture. And we had such a stench of a culture. And I'm not just saying that, right? We know players have been saying that for years,
Yeah.
right? From the Gill to the John and Brad. Like, you're talking about literally like decades worth of bad culture. Like, Kevin Durant didn't even want to come back home, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that there's a whole bunch of details in that. But again, like, I think it goes without saying that, like, this doesn't only just hurt us from a standpoint of just surface level. We didn't get this draft pick. We didn't get these. We didn't even get into the top three to choose like what we deem as a franchise player, right? We also have we've also extended the rebuild possibly because without that so-called brand name that the NBA likes, we don't know if that's going to set us back from even making DC a destination spot for free agents.
Glad you brought that up. So I look at it from this perspective, even when it comes down to that. That's the top that we have to have. Being so that we didn't get the number one pick, did it set the rebuild back? Because it's a 3 to 5 year window. And some people will say, well, absolutely it set it back. But I look at it from this perspective. If we trust Will Dawkins, then we got to trust him that he's going to build this team the right way. But let's look at teams that didn't get the overall number one pick within the last several years, and they're actually good. Houston is one of them. They didn't get the overall number one pick, and they were in the playoffs. OKC is currently in there right now. You can say that Chet was the consensus number one, but he was drafted at number two.
Yeah.
The Pacers are they're in the playoffs. They didn't have a number one overall pick. So we could be following that model. And then another thing too that stood out to me was Will Dawkins said recently, and I think this was a month ago. He said on I think 106.7, he said you got to have lottery luck, in the draft. Of course, you want to get the number one pick, but you got to have lottery luck. So the vibe that I got from him was we're good no matter where we land because I know how to scout, I know how to draft. Again, it makes it easy when you have the number one pick, but when you know this format is the way it is, the lottery format, you kind of setting yourself up to be disappointed when you're expecting, oh well, this has got to be the year that we get it because we didn't lose all these ball games to just fall to number 6. Well, that's true. However, it's the commissioner that's going to choose who gets the number one pick. And if anything, this is proof that the NBA is not really going to do us any favors. They're just not going to do it.
We have to, and that's it. Like you hit the nail on the head. Where now, right? I'm thinking about the NBA has always been the business, and taking the fan out of me. Now I'm really like, and it sounds harsh, but now I got to really think about like even like from a business perspective, like the NBA don't give a shit, bro. Like you gotta create a culture. You gotta create a fan base worth just like how like people kind of forget too that before Tim Duncan, the Spurs were really like crappy for a very long time before they kind of came into that Greg Pop, Tim Duncan, the Admiral era, right? And then all of a sudden they just became like a really glorified franchise. Pop, with all the respect, it's one of the greatest to ever do it as far as coaching is concerned. But that took time for them to build, and I'm starting to realize that like the NBA really changed from them, 70s, 80s days, and it really started with really in the 80s with that Lake show, right? When the Lakers became that team and it became about a business, that's when it just really started. Like, all right, well, if you're not a team that's generating, like big time type dollars for us, then we don't know. Again, I'm just talking a lot of stuff right now because obviously there's a lot of emotion in it. But like thinking about it again, just trying to think about it from a business perspective, like until we can prove that we can show something on the court that's like sustainable, I don't see how we're gonna be able to get blessed. And it's really gonna be funny because I'm seeing a lot on Twitter, and I'm wondering if us like all kind of being mad and talking shit right now is gonna magically change things next year. Like, oh, he done
Mhm.
been found out. Nah, it ain't gonna happen. But it's just, people are still gonna go and people are still gonna support. I think right now we're kind of like all in shock. Like we're in shock, but also too, it's like kind of being disappointed, like because you're just like, damn, like this is such a Wizards thing, man.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's such a Wizards thing. So we're gonna see what happens, but man, I know whoever we pick at 6, unfortunately, like I feel so bad for them because like no matter what, like people are gonna remember this and
yeah,
think to themselves like, how the hell did Cooper Flag go to Dallas? Like it just they lose Luca. It was like it's like the perfect storyline. It's too obvious. It's
yeah,
too obvious.
yeah. If you look at it from that perspective, their GM, I know people probably wanted to lynch him. Now all is forgiven. All is
Yep.
forgiven. All of it is forgiven. Now he's there. When you with the Wizards, man, I mean, you're right. When you think about the history, if you really talk about him, like the franchise has done a lot of bad shit when I was alive, before I was alive, so much. They had Wes Unseld. He was able to complete his career as a Bullet.
Yep.
But then
Yep.
they drafted Earl Pearl Monroe. They only had him for 4 years. They didn't want to pay him the money. So he ends up being a Knickerbocker. They win their lone championship. Then you go into the 80s. So you talk about that 85 draft. They picked Kenny Green, who was out of the league probably real quick and passed over Karl Malone. You think about so many players that they did not draft that they could have, that they just made so many mistakes. And
Yeah.
we're talking about not just years, we're talking about decades of blunders by this franchise where they never really value winning. And even when we do have some successful years, when we talk about the Wall era and we talk about the Gilbert era, it's like they never really built on what was happening. They
Uh,
never positioned themselves. So even during the Wall era, there was conversations about Paul George. There was conversations about DeMarcus Cousins. But you know why we couldn't get those guys? Because we didn't have assets to get those guys. Ernie
yeah.
Grunfeld treated draft picks, especially first round draft picks, like candy. He was constantly trading them away. So with Dawkins, what I do like is he values draft picks. We got assets. We got swap picks from Philadelphia. I mean, no, not from Philadelphia. No, actually, we got one from Philly, I believe. It's either Philly or Milwaukee. But we
Mhm.
got a slew of them from Phoenix.
Yep.
So that's the good thing because we're actually valuing our draft picks. But we have a general manager that does know how to draft. And we just
Yeah.
have to trust them. I get it. The tough part is you want that sure thing, but let's call it what it is. Most people felt like he was the only prize in the draft. Like he was the only person that you knew for a fact that you could get. So you had to have that conversation with yourself. Well, what happens if you don't land that guy? There were people who were trying to convince themselves that Dylan Harper is also that guy. But if Dylan Harper is supposed to be like James Harden or something like that, I mean, well, James Harden hasn't won a championship yet. So that doesn't really sit well
Right.
with me. We're talking about it. Is he a player that
Right.
you can really truly build around? I don't know.
Right.
But I just look at it like for me, and I'm just speaking on me, this is the reason why I didn't sit there and go out like, oh yeah, that shit is happening today. We getting it today. Because
Yeah.
look what happened. The moment we said we was picking 6, I just said, you know what? I think majority of Wizards Twitter gonna have to be on suicide watch because I know it was a lot of people making all types of AI pictures of Cooper Flag wearing a Wizards jersey. Now you're going to make them
Yeah.
pictures of him wearing a Dallas jersey. He's going to Texas now.
It's actually funny because um man, like there were so many conversations going on even prior. Like don't please don't let this happen and we end up having to draft Conca Nipple or Conca Nipple, right? And now it's like it's really happening.
Oh
And
Lord.
like I said, I want to be clear from my perspective too that like, you know, it's not even it's not even again like specifically one of those three because you can still like the truth is we've seen number one picks flame out even if
Yeah.
it sounded really good. We've seen guys in the lottery flame out, right? And then we've seen guys like Giannis who I don't know if Giannis was in the lottery or if he was like 18 or post. But either way, we've seen a lot of guys who either go late lottery or out of the lottery end up becoming stars. I mean, it happens all the time. And I'm not sitting here saying that whoever's number 6 is just, you really get upset because again, you know what the chances are, and that new system like screwed us. Like that whatever. They're going 14%. Like I can't remember the last time whoever like whoever really had the best odds or the most losses, right? Like actually get the number 1 overall pick. I don't think it's happened yet. Anybody who sees this later on, correct me, but I don't think it's actually ever happened yet. So again, like it's just disappointing because again, it's more so a Wizards thing. I think that's what it really is, right? Again, like the Cooper flag was just like it was just a symbol, right, of the number 1 pick. It was, like that's all it was. But again, I really do believe for Wizards fans, it could have been 1, 2, or 3. It's just the fact that it was just a Wizards type of moment, like,
Right.
and I think a lot of us are just tired of that shit. Like, I know I am. Like like even with good management, you're like, damn, like we can't escape this shit. Like,
No, you're right. We can't. Like I'm looking at Tanklathon and as it goes, we know that Cooper Flag is going 1. They got Dylan Harper 2, Bailey going 3, but they got us getting Conker Nipple.
See,
6. Come on, man. We're not getting. I don't see Conker Nipple. So you know what? I'm not. Here's where I'm gonna go with. I'm saying at 6, if we stay there, that's a big ass if. If we stay there at 6, I say you snatch up either Queen or you snatch a Newell out of Georgia, and then with the 18th pick, you take Rasheer Fleming. Call it a day in the first round. Rasheer Fleming would pretty much answer for the ace, even though he's not offensively like ace, but he's an energy guy. And he has I think he has like a 7'5" wingspan. Like that fits what Dawkins wants. Now, just so happens if either 2 things happens, a miracle such as somehow, some way, Philadelphia doesn't draft ace and he just happens to fall in our lap, cool, or we somehow, some way move up in the draft to go get him, then all is not lost. But the Wizards thing is going to always happen.
I was looking at it too. Like, I'll say, now that I'm a little bit calmer and I got a drink in my system because I needed it. I needed it like this, bro. Like, I'm not gonna show it because I know it's, but trust me, this can isn't alcohol free, right?
Hey man, do your thing.
So, like, I'm looking at it. So there is an opportunity here where we don't. So let's forget 1 and 2, right? I don't like that. Just looking at that makes me just want to like just spaz, bro. Like, really, like that to me is just absolute madness. Like, it's like looking at Tankathon. Mavericks jumped up 10 spots. The Sixers jumped up. Like, it just goes to show you that, like, to me, like now the NBA, the league is doing something completely opposite where they're punishing teams who are actually bad. Like you're punishing teams who are actually bad versus teams who already have, like the Dallas Mavericks already have 2 superstars on their team, 2 Hall of Famers on their team. Man, like I ain't gonna talk about this no more. I'm done. Let me get to my original point because looking at it just made me really upset.
Right.
There's an opportunity here for the 76ers. We don't know which way they're gonna go, right? If they decide to completely tear down and rebuild, right? Because they have some young pieces, right? If they decide to get rid of PG, if they decide to move on, I don't know why, man. I'm blanking because I'm so upset. Like, their center, right? Whatever. Like, if they decide to rebuild, they decide to go off from Joel and PG for whatever reason, right? Then they keep the 3. But there's an opportunity for them here to trade out for more better. Now, I don't like it's hard to imagine that being anything worth that the Wizards can offer, because the best the Wizards could offer, even if they wanted to get to that 3rd overall pick to get ace, it would have to be some sort of combination for like obviously 6, 18, some futures, right? And maybe they want a couple of veteran players, right? Like, or maybe they, whether it's JP or Marcus Smart or they want, maybe they want more shooters. So, they trade for, I don't know. Like whoever we have, right? Like, but it just seems unlikely. It seems like they would rather just keep that. But who knows, right? I think there's a very slight chance there that maybe Philadelphia is thinking about trading that third overall pick. But
I,
even if they did that, it's hard to imagine that they would do that with us.
yeah, I can't. I mean, I would find that very challenging to believe that they would do that. I mean, especially with Paul George, like, not being
Yeah.
the same player. They do have to make a decision when it comes down to Joel Embiid if they're going to continue. Like Maxey, I don't believe he's going anywhere. But
No,
let's just
Max is
stay with
definitely not going
Philadelphia,
anywhere.
for example. So for Philadelphia, let's say because Will Dawkins is known to do this. He's known
Yeah.
to get players to skip out on workouts. So let's just say he has a conversation with Ace Bailey and he tells him, like, look, I want you here in DC. I want you to not work out for Philly, not work out for Charlotte, not work out for DC. Or if you do work out, look terrible. Do all the things that everybody said that you can't do as far as not passing the ball. Just look terrible. And
Yeah.
you can come here because one thing that Ace Bailey did say, him being in Rutgers, he said, well, where's the Waffle House at? There is no Waffle House up there in New Jersey. There are Waffle Houses in VA.
There is Waffle Houses in Charlotte too. Like there ain't none in Utah. You can forget that. So
There are in Charlotte, but I can't see Charlotte picking him, man. I mean, they got
yeah,
Brandon Miller.
you know what though? The thing is though, you can't
That's true
put
too.
it past Charlotte as a franchise to do
That's true
something
too.
like that. Like I I really so it's gonna be interesting because again, like I I just I don't see the 76ers not taking Ace. It's just
Right.
if they do trade out, it's like it's going to be somebody who has more assets than we or what really because what if the 76ers trade out, it's because they are looking to win now because they still want to maximize PG and Embiid and Maxey and the rest of them like that's what they want to do, right? Because they want to win a chip. That means they're going to want like a piece. And I'm trying to think like who on this list even has the assets to even like trade like them for a decent piece that they would want. Like maybe Utah is only 2 spots back. They could trade Laurie Marketing to pair up with Embiid and their fifth pick and something else just to move up 2 spots. And for the 76ers, moving down 2 spots may not be a bad deal for them, right? Because they can still get a nice young player at 5, right? They could possibly still get VJ Edgecombe, right? Depending on like how the board falls. But it's just it like that's another thing too that like it hurts is that we literally had the furthest we could fall was 6 and damn it B man if we didn't literally like get like literally hit our worst odds. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't even like 4 or 5. We literally hit the very worst odds we could possibly get. And so
Yeah.
Utah. Utah hit the possible worst odds they can get, but somehow Charlotte was only able to go from the third worst odds to the fourth worst odds. So like that's like that type of shit right there, man. It's like you can't make this up. It's a so Wizards type of thing. Like it's the
Yeah.
main thing that we like low key. A lot of us feared that this would happen all year long, right? And it definitely came true. And I'm just looking at this board. Our best bet is because I like Jeremiah Fears, but I think outside of Dylan Harper and VJ Edgecombe, I think we're good on our guard situation. So
Oh, absolutely. I agree.
honestly, I would almost even consider like if somebody really liked, let's say Trey Johnson falls, or you like VJ Edgecombe if he just happens to fall into
Yeah.
like the 4 or the 5, and somebody wants to trade up with us because one of those guys fall. I would even consider trading back, and I'm looking at Derek Queen.
Yeah.
Um, right. I'm also, I like Newell out of Georgia as well.
Yeah.
Um, I'm actually a fan of Colin Murray Bowles, but and that's not going to be a popular pick. until we're like
No,
further down if he drops. So that's not. But and I'm a
he's
big
on.
fan of Igor, but Igor, we don't. It really depends because right, we're looking at Tankathon. Tankathon is just going based off of right collective data and what they
Correct.
what they hear. So we see guys, but we've seen guys plenty of times that say on Tankathon that they're down below the lottery that actually teams really value. So we don't. The thing is that I do like about this front office is that right they do value players. They're not going to listen to the collective or the news, right? Like they're going
Exactly.
to value. So if they really, I could easily see Dawkins valuing somebody like Igor, right? Like, because that, when you think about when they was at OKC, right, and it's just basically long, lengthy guards who can handle the ball.
Mhm.
If you really do buy his shot, being something that can be developed, you know, that's it. And this isn't going to be a popular pick, right? And this is my last one. I'll say, it's the center out of Duke. Come on, Malawach. Like, it's not popular, but dang it, like if you're looking at where we're at 6, if I were to choose again, like what did I just name? Like 4 players,
Mhm.
he's my
About four
fifth.
players.
He's my
Malawach?
fifth. Yeah. So just anybody, but like we don't no Knuppel or Leon
Yeah.
McNeely, none of those.
Yeah.
Like
Right. Right.
to me, number one is like, man, I think I got to go either Derek Queen, number 2,
Yes.
Igor, number 4, Newell, number 5, Colin Murray Boyles, and then come on at number like that, those are my 5. Those are my top 5 that I would choose. And unfortunately that those guys are not going top 5. So you're going to have your
Right.
pick between those. Um, I just I not because I now you have to look at potential and fit. That's the problem when you get to where we're at. It's not even about like if you were top 3 or even top 4, you would choose the best of what's left over as far as like talent is concerned. Like now you really like once you are at 6, like with the guys that are rest, you really have to start thinking about like fit, right? Like
Yeah.
obviously you take the best available, but you have to consider fit, right? If you're taking Cooper Flag, if you're taking Ace, you're taking like take Dylan Harper for example. You're not considering fit with the other guards. You're like, oh, we really value and like Dylan Harper, like we're
Yeah. He's the
taking
best
him,
player available. Right.
right? We really like DeeJay Edgecombe, we're taking him, right? But we're at 6, so we have to consider. Well, Sarr said he didn't really want to play center. That's the reason why, he kind of fell to 2. He didn't want to play for Atlanta. He wanted to play for us. So maybe he really does want to play power forward. Maybe we draft. Come on, hell, even Derek Queen. Maybe Derek Queen would rather play more so center, and he's a shorter center. But then we have Sarr play
Yeah.
forward. We don't know. Like now, those are the sorts of questions we got to ask ourselves, right? Even with Igor, right? It's like, well, I mean, is that going to actually be a fit amongst all the other guards we have? He's 6'9". Is he going to actually end up playing the 3 for us? Like, it's all these conversations, and then 18 feels like 18 just doesn't feel as good anymore, knowing that you don't have a top 3 pick. So we'll see, man. I'm off my soapbox.
So let me
I'm
say
off it.
this, man. At one when we when we appeared up on your podcast back in November,
Yeah.
you and we were talking about Malawach, but then after watching him in the tournament, man, and he didn't pull down not one rebound. I said nah, I can't. So everybody already complains about Sarr not grabbing enough rebounds, but then you're going to draft a
Mm-hmm.
7'2" center
Mm-hmm.
who probably is not going to be rebounding the ball as much, and he's just as raw, if not a little bit more raw than Sarr. It just doesn't feel like a good combination along with Sarr. Like Sarr doesn't want to play the 5; he really wants to play the 4. So then you got to look at who can play the 5 and do what he doesn't do. So then that's when you talk about Queen. That's when you talk about Newell. That's when you talk about maybe Johnny Broom. You talk about those guys. That's gonna
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna do the stuff that he don't do. But Knipple is not a player that we should even be like. We're not even going to even acknowledge him. This is just a mock draft. We're not even going to acknowledge that that's who. Knipple is a guy that I can see him on a playoff team. That's a piece, that just need
Yeah,
that.
like
He's
he
not.
would actually be better off on. Let me see who's in that. Let me see. Let me look real quick. He would be good on a Rockets team. I
Yeah,
mean, they're picking 3rd, so they'll never do it. He would be good on a 76ers team, right?
yeah, Yeah,
Hell, even honestly, Portland, the way that I don't think Portland's going to be here next year. I think Portland's going to actually be in the playoffs next year. Portland
yeah,
could use him. Hell, honestly, at 14, because the Spurs got the number 2 pick and the number
they
14
could
pick,
use him.
don't be surprised if he's the last pick in the lottery. Like,
They could use him, or he may even slip further and maybe go 17 to Minnesota. I mean, he's not a player that you put on a team like the Washington Wizards that's still trying to find their franchise player. Like that
it's
guy.
not it's not happening. It's not happening.
No, it's not. It just reads Mike Dunleavy Jr. It reads Kyle Korver. That's what it reads to me. And I know people see this is the reason why sometimes when we say that you want players that have a high basketball IQ, okay, that's fine. Yes, you do want a guy that has a high basketball IQ, but can he hoop? You
Yeah.
can know the game, but can you hoop? And there's something. And does your game amount to winning? Are you a stud or are you more of a dud? Because
Yeah.
the nipple could be Shane Battier, and that's what people are getting happy about. So I'm not sold on Knipple like that. I'm not really big on Igor Demon either because
Mhm.
that would be Josh Giddey. I think we got enough guards to kind of do what we need to do.
But you see though the conversations that we have to have now. You see what I'm
I
saying?
get it.
Like we
I get
have
it.
to these are the conversations that Wizards fans have to have now, where it's
Right.
where we know that there's more upside than doubt in like the top 4, right?
Right.
Whether it was again Flag, Dylan, Ace, or Edgecombe, like now we're just like, well, Kamal Wallowatch brings defense, but the man looks sus on the boards. Like
Yeah.
maybe Keith can and Gortat can come back and help him be a big boy. You see what I'm saying? Like that's the type of conversations that we gotta have now. And then it's like even Derek Queen. I like Derek Queen, but if you ask him to play center, then you're definitely not asking him to play defense because that's the part that he needs to work on the most, right?
Yeah.
He's okay, right? So you look at that, and again, just like you said with Igor, like it's like, well, is that another Josh Giddey? Josh Giddey's doing real well right now. I mean, is Josh Giddey a star? Not really. So
Yeah.
again, here we are. We got to ask ourselves, well, what does the potential? I mean, that's what all these guys are is potential.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
now we got to ask ourselves, like, is the potential of this person, like Steve Smith, NFL wide receiver would say, like, is the potential like a star, or is this just an average guy? Right?
Yeah.
Con
Yeah.
Knipple, the man's a specialist. But what is he project to be? Just an average guy.
Just an average guy. He's a role player. I mean,
That's
but you know what? The conversations that we're having right now were the conversations we should have had months ago. And I know people will say, well, why should we have these conversations? Because of a situation like today. If you had these conversations months ago, then you wouldn't really have to say, oh, because to be honest with you, bro, I'm pretty sure a good portion of Wizards Twitter don't even know half of these players because they didn't care to know about these players. It was only
probably not.
a couple of them that they were only concerned about.
Cooper,
Maybe even
Harper,
one.
Ace.
Right. And
Cooper,
to be
Harper,
honest
Ace.
with you, a good portion of them didn't really want to know too much about Ace either. It was either Harper or it was Cooper Flag. A good portion of them was only concerned about Cooper Flag. But when you start talking about other players, it's like, well, why are you talking about that guy? Well, because 9 times out of 10, that guy is a little bit more realistic. It's it's realistic to get Knipple. It's very realistic. But but it's not realistic to get Cooper Flag. It wasn't realistic to get Dylan Harper unless you was in the top 2. Ace Bailey, I think is a possibility, but I'm kind of like with you. I don't think Philadelphia is going to let him slip through the cracks. So now that kind of kills all of that. So it's like, okay, well, what other players? So that's why I started looking at guys like Fleming. I started looking at Derek Quinn. I started looking at all these other players because it's like, let me get to know these guys because some of these guys might be wearing a Wizards jersey. And then if they turn out to be better than as advertised, then the conversation is over. Like, here's another one. AJ Johnson. I was talking about him last year. We didn't draft him. Will Dawkins traded for him. But a lot of fans didn't really know too much about AJ Johnson until he got here. And they was like, well, damn, how in the world did Milwaukee let this kid go? Why did they let him go? I mean, I don't know why.
Because they're focused on the championship, and they're like, again, guys like that don't get playing time when you're trying to win a chip, right? You got too much going against you, and it's like, well, if you're not getting any playing time, like we can let him go, we can get, we can get Kyle Kuzma, and they're
See how that turned out.
trying to make a run. So like, man, like, and look, you're right. Like again, like I trust this front office. Whoever we get at 6, right, just getting the benefit of the doubt. I will say, kind of thinking about it some more, right, that I wouldn't be surprised too if like, this organization really went the route of like, you know, the 76ers of old when they were was it trust the process, and then also with OKC, constantly collecting picks. With Dawkins pretty much getting all those picks and from the Suns, from the Bradley Beal trade, and everything that we've gotten back from that from the trades, and then obviously even as recent with the AJ Johnson one, like you kind of got to think too that maybe a little bit of this is kind of, well, we give them the number 1 pick, the rebuild, or 1, 2, or 3, right? The rebuild, accelerates a little bit, and then all of a sudden, like look at Phoenix. Phoenix is looking to get rid of Bill, KD. They're looking to get rid of KD, and it's just going to be Booker. You really, realistically, in your mind, can't believe that they're going to be good that much longer. Because I think we got first round pick swaps with them all the way up to what, like 2030?
Yeah,
2020.
yeah.
You best believe in 5 years they're gonna,
of course.
Like there's no way. And I think the NBA sometimes looks at that, to be honest, and just kind of says to himself like, you're not gonna get Cooper Flag and continuously get in, pick swap your way into the top 5 or 6. Like who knows? But I mean that's just that it's a so Wizards thing, right? Like because clearly this worked out for for who had the swap that went up? The Sixers. The Sixers swapped because they ended up, I forgot who it was, but made some trade with somebody. But anyways, it worked out for them. So I don't know, man. Like I'm just thinking about maybe that's what, when we talk about a multi-year rebuild, right? We build as much as we try and what we can, and we can't rely. I just years of experience being a fan of this team tells me that we cannot rely on getting a big time free agent here to like accelerate us into championship type of contention, right? It's gonna have to be just like the Bradley, Beal, John Wall era, where we just gotta hope for the best. We try to make some trades if we can, and just hope these young guys continue to grow and pan out. That's what I will say, is that no matter what, I'm still excited, to see these young guys play. I hope they take a step next year, but I hope whoever they get coming in, man, will just add to that, right? And not be a Johnny Davis or something, man. Like that's my hope. I really hope it doesn't turn out that way.
Lord, where is he? But
where is he? I don't know.
The last I heard, he was with the New York Knicks G League team. He was playing for the Westchester Knicks.
You dropped him off at the airport too, didn't you? I know you did.
Oh man, I mean, I brought him up at Taco Bell, bro. I told him you get there, but I mean, he's playing for the Westchester Knicks. That's outside of New York City. They told him like, you can't even be in the city limits. You got to go to Westchester. So I look at it this way. So because we talked about this year's draft, we got a lot of assets that I agree with. We got pick swaps coming from Phoenix. I think we got one coming from Milwaukee. I believe we got one coming from Philadelphia. And I know we got a pick with Golden State. I think that's in 2030. So we got a lot of future assets. So when it comes to trading for free agents or even trading for players who are disgruntled at their location, we got assets to get those players. But the key is drafting.
Yep.
And I trust this front office that they're going to draft well. They haven't really done anything to make me question their draft. Mm-hmm. Again, I know the first pick in the draft just makes it easy to speed up the rebuild. But now, I guess that's another thing. I mean, if anything, this is going to tell me that we're not going to let that pick convey to New York next season either, because the draft, whether people believe it or not, there's the consensus is saying next year's draft is supposed to be better than this one. We'll see if that's actually true. But I do like Darian Peterson, And I do like AJ, even though there's some concerns about him as far as his hunger that I have. But at this point, the prize that everybody wanted, we're not getting that prize. So
is Gil's son part of next year's draft, or is he the
yeah,
draft after that?
no, he's in next year's
He's
draft.
for next year's draft.
He will
Yeah,
be in next.
God bless that. Yeah, God bless that kid for
Yeah,
for recovering the way he did. You know.
yeah.
Yeah, but that is a deep draft because even if you don't get DeeJay, you know, Gil's son, you got the twins. Yeah. I mean, it's but that's you shouldn't even be talking about next year's draft because that's where our minds are at as Wizards fans. Like that's where we're already at. I mean, we'll see. I think, you know, let's I'd be happy to hop on with y'all boys again and
all right.
definitely talk about, you know, after, you know, especially well, not you. You seem to be a comrade of mine. Seems like me and the rest of Wizards Twitter are ready to burn the world down. But we'll see, you know, where we're at. You know, we threw names out there, and it's just really a matter now, you know, thinking like, because you know, you never know though. If Saar really does end up, you know, staying, it could really go so many ways, man. Like or maybe when these guys fall, like the only person that could fall, that if that Ace Bailey conspiracy theory of yours actually comes true and valid, then I think we can throw all of our anger out the window, right? Boom, right? Yeah. I don't think it's gonna happen, but
I don't think so.
If he slips, he slips. I'm also wondering if just like with Bilal, remember that year Bilal kind of came on late and out of nowhere and then shot up draft boards, right? I'm wondering if there's somebody that we're not thinking of that can do something similar. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And the only person I can think of, not to cut you off, the only person I can think of would be Rasheer Fleming.
Yeah.
Do I think he's going to jump up in the top 10? No, but he's a guy that's kind of a late bloomer that some people are starting to pay attention to because of his measurements, him being an energy guy, him being athletic. I forgot how many dunks he had this past year. He came out. He's out of St. Joe's. I think he had like 49 dunks in the season. So he's you always have, to your point, a player that nobody was talking about, and then within about a month and a half before the draft, all of a sudden everybody's talking about this guy murdering people in the combine. So he would be that player that I think could actually be the player that people should really they should pay attention to him. I say look at him, look him up, keep an eye on him. I think he might be that guy.
You know, now that I'm looking at this too, I remember I'm not sure if he'll shoot up in a month that high, but this other kid from France, and I'm trying to remember his name and I'm looking for him. He's a 6'9" wing. And he was being talked about a lot.
Or whatever his last name is.
Noah and Insage something, right? Noah, and he's playing over in Germany right now. But exactly. He's been talked about. I don't know, you know, if I know he's shooting up the boards, but I don't know if he's shooting up that high all the way, you know. But we don't know. Like the thing that is intriguing now, even just talking about, is that we don't know. We don't know what the scouts have seen. We don't know, you know, right now, all the scouts that have been all over the world, you know, all across different, you know, college games and stuff like that, scouts for the Wizards, they already have a list of guys that they really love. They have guys that, you know, are up here in the lottery, and then they got guys lower after the lottery, and even guys in the second round where they're going to go up to Dawkins and be like, we should take a chance on this guy. This guy has high potential. No one's talking about him. Let's give this guy a chance, right?
Right.
So we'll see what happens. Doesn't feel good right now. Feels like definitely like a Sub Wizards moment, but it's going to be interesting over the next course of the month to figure out. I mean, who do us Wizards fans really like in that spot, and ultimately, who does Dawkins in that front office really like? That's really the only thing that matters.
That's true. That's true, and we don't know who they actually like, so we'll find that out. Come draft night. That's kind of like where I'm at. All right, man. For the longest, I was like, is it May yet? Is it May 12th yet? Is it May 12th? Well, it's May 12th. Now we know what we're picking. We just got to see what
Yep.
happens on draft night. We got to see that. So, man, it was a pleasure you coming up, chopping it up
Yes,
with
sir.
me. Let you go ahead and vent, say what you got to say. I'm going to be doing a lot of welfare checks on Twitter tonight and tomorrow because I know
Yeah.
there's a bunch of fans that are just like super heated. I wasn't one of them, but I didn't
Yeah.
beat that into the ground. But yeah, man, we definitely got to get up there on your podcast, man. Do another one with
Yeah.
you, and maybe that'll probably be when we talk about who we draft and what we be
Mhm.
expecting for the summer league. Long as it ain't Knipple, man. If it's Knipple,
I'm
man, I'm
mad.
sorry.
I
I'm gonna have
can't.
to
I
cue.
I can't even imagine like doing an episode on the pod or going and doing a draft party or something like that and having all y'all on there and then just hearing the quiet sigh of despair knowing that the Wizards just drafted Nipple. Like I don't know, man. Like I don't even want to think what like we may have like we wherever that draft party is at, man. God bless that restaurant. Let's just hope that they have insurance.
For real. If you
Yeah,
do it live, bro, I'm gonna tell you right now, people, I might have get arrested that night if that's the name that I hear, because
yeah.
somebody gonna get their ass whooped. I don't know who it is.
So,
The first person I see in my vicinity, they getting a 2-piece and a biscuit. I'm sorry.
yep.
I don't like, damn, why you hit that old man like that? He was just right there, man. He was just right
Mhm.
there. So.
Two piece, two piece, and a biscuit, no water. Like
Oh
it's
no,
over.
oh no, absolutely not. Absolutely not, man. So man, once again, chopping it with my man DeeJay from Chocolate City Hoops Podcast. Definitely check him out on YouTube. Follow him on X. I'm about to do welfare check on YouTube, bro. But
Yeah, I know. I
it's
was going
definitely
off.
oh man, hey, I had to let you go off, man. So
Yeah,
you guys know where you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on X as they call it. Follow us on State of the Wizards, State of the Wizards, also on X. And it's been a pleasure. You guys have a wonderful evening. Peace.
peace.